left it all the way. When the ball was tipped, Foreman's in the right spot.
Sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Tavern 180, Vinny Creekback of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical.
Here's Valenti dropping back, fires a pass, and it's intercepted by the Huskers at the 25, Jay Foreman. And Foreman takes it down to the 19-yard line of Oklahoma. Another big play by the Black Shirts.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are we in the building? This is the Jay Foreman Postgame Show. We're coming at you live from Bloomington. We're live at the tap. We want to thank our sponsors, Anderson Ford, State Farm, Vinny Creekback, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Action Plumbing, Tavern 180, Tanner's, and obviously 93.7 The Ticket. And plus, also, we want to thank our three sponsors for bringing me and Nick out here. As you hear this nonsense in the back, it's not even nonsense. I mean, this is a full-fledged butt kicking. It's about to be 56-7. We decided to go on. Here, Rob D. Rob D, I hear you. Listen, it's about to be 56-7. You know, at the end of the day, there is nothing positive that comes out of a game like this. It's just full-fledged. It was a full-fledged butt kicking, and you got to take it on the chin. I can say this honestly. I know for a fact in my college career, I've never been a part of a game like this. I lost a game in the pros 35-7, and it felt like this. And you know, it comes down to, I don't think it's everybody's fire the coaches and this and this. Really, it comes down to the willingness to compete. Look, I said it all week. Indiana's a good team. They're not Ohio State. They're not Alabama. They're not, Georgia, Texas, or whatever. They're a good team, and what they do well, they've done it very well over the 6 weeks and obviously the 7th week. Yeah. But having a running back have 11, 12 yards a carry, another one averaging 9 yards a carry, another one having 6. It just comes down to really just being ready to play. This is a physical game, and Indiana brought it to us both in the pass game and in the run game, and then defensively they did whatever they want with us. I mean, so we didn't do anything that we could have or should have set out to do. You could point to I'm a big cause and effect. Yes, we said it in the pregame show when we went live from the truck. Expect Indiana to come out fast. They did. Okay, that's fine. That's what they're supposed to do. To be honest with you, they're at home. Okay, we get the ball. We come all the way down 4th and 1. We get it the next series, kind of stub our toe. We're down 14-0. We drive it all the way down there, and then we score. Then we get the ball back 4th and 1, and we fumble the ball 4th and 1. They take the ball, go right down the field. So you go when you think of maybe potentially getting at least 3 points. Yes, we got stopped on 4th down, to give them the ball, which is obviously what I'm talking about, fumbling the ball. But ultimately, they from the very beginning, it feels like Indiana, their players chose to come out and play with a little bit more energy and competitiveness than us, and that's an individual choice. This is not a Matt Rule problem. No. This is not a Marcus Satterfield problem. This is not a Tony White problem. This is just my opinion. It's not a coaching problem. And I will tell you this, I'm big on player accountability because why am I big on player accountability? Because that's how you win. The coaches lay the game plan, the players take it and make it the game plan is perfect as they can be. Showing up ready to play, competing, and doing that's a choice. It just was not a good look today. There's nothing you can say. There's not one thing that we did to be like, okay, we saw – this is not even indicative of the team that we've seen even at lean times this year all season long.
I think there's a couple housekeeping things that we got to mention. Make sure we appreciate our sponsors, League One Volleyball, Heartland of Nebraska Windows, and Sandhills Global for allowing the trip to be possible out here. It's been a really good couple of days out here in Bloomington despite the finish. There's still 2.5 minutes or so left in the game. However, we do have a hard out. At least Jay and I do. We have a flight to catch later this afternoon or evening.
Damn right.
And we have a flight to catch this afternoon. So we have a hard cutoff at 4. That doesn't mean the post game coverage will stop at 4, But Jay and I just certainly wanted to get on and be able to get out and make our flight on time so we can land back in Lincoln later this evening. So Austin will take over after 4 p.m. So that's when all the calls can come in. So we can't take calls.
We got your text. Bruce Davis, we got your text.
We get
Bruce Davis is on one. You seen him down there?
Oh, I saw. We got texts. So 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line. The Starter Heyman text line open for you guys. You guys can call, air out your frustrations, but right now we're not able to get you on the air and through our equipment out here in Bloomington. So unfortunately can't take calls, but certainly can take texts, and we want to see them because I'm sure there's a lot of thoughts today, right? Like through it, Jay, let me ask you this from a fan, a general, non-football player perspective. I agree with you, and I've learned a lot about the player accountability piece, right? Like, and it was obvious today. Nebraska just didn't show up. Like you could tell from the get-go, right? The Ja'Cory Barney special teams blunder. That's not a game plan thing because you know darn well that's not being taught or allowed in practice. No matter how bad the special teams has been, no matter how much you want to fire coaches, that's not allowed or coached in practice. Right. So
he's a young player.
He is. And there was
freshman.
Right.
It's a learning experience.
It's 56-7. There's a lot more that we can point to than just that. But that was kind of the thing that started it all. A lot of it, can you say that part of it was game plan or decision to go with certain guys at certain points of the game, or either offensively or defensively, or is it strictly these guys just didn't tackle well? They weren't ready to play.
It's a multitude of things, sure. I mean, I guess it's always the unknown because as soon as you lose, or just like Illinois, you didn't complete the pass. Well, we should have done this. So I guess. In theory, to make people happy, you could say, sure, it's game plan. But at the end of the day, you got to execute. It's a lack of execution. And particularly, I'm going to just be, honest about the defense.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are you doing? Straight up. Like, I'm talking you man to man. This is a man's game, right? Like, I'm not here to be your friend. I believe in you. I'll ride with the black shirts. I love them to death and all that. But, dude, you when you play football, listen, at the end of the day, when you play sports, and sometimes I get in trouble with this, I'm competitive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't like to lose. And first of all, I ain't gonna get my ass kicked. I ain't gonna get embarrassed out here. And so sure, you can say, could we run some different coverages? Could we call different plays on? Sure, all that is fine, right? And you can say that because it's great to talk about. That's low-hanging fruit. It's just like when people say, well, we got to fire people because we don't win. Well, at the end of the day, you got to execute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to compete. If the ball's between me and you, and I got to punch you in the face, Nick, I'm sorry, I got to do it. Yeah. That's just, and I expect the same from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Do I like it?
Right.
No. But at the end of the day, I know what to prepare for.
That's the thing is, like, did you expect Indiana, you being Nebraska? Like, did you expect Indiana on homecoming when the lights are the brightest to this point? They know that they had all the pressure on them. And did you expect them to fold?
I don't know what
you couldn't have.
I don't know what it is. I just know it like this. Anytime that I'm playing sports, I'm expecting your best. And damn it, you better expect mine. And you're gonna get it. Now it might not work out like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I can tell you what, you ain't gonna have me roll. You ain't gonna roll me up. Like you rolling the doobie.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's what I would say. I mean, Nebraska's down 56-7 currently to Indiana. They're about to be 5-2. And Jay, I mean, let's call it what it is. It doesn't get any easier next weekend, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't.
But this isn't about next weekend.
It's not.
And that's where we got to stop all this stuff. And we got, and this is not about you. I'm just talking about.
I know what you mean.
In the media in general, we have to take everything that we're doing literally, Nick, step by step, and that's the hardest thing for Coach Rule. Because I know for a fact, I know that dude's competitive.
Yeah.
I know a competitive person when I know it. I know a coach when I know it. I know the time that they put in. So essentially, now you got to get guys to put one step in front of the other so you don't think 10 steps ahead when you have a little success. You get what I mean? Or a lot of success. We're 5-1. Let's not, or about to be 5-2. So let's not take anything away from what Nebraska's done at this point. But the difference of, you have to understand there's a big difference. And I see this all the time because I coach basketball. I train kids. I do a lot of things with kids mentally, right? And then that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest jump that's the biggest thing I can provide somebody right now. I can't provide a weight program that they can't go and find somebody else that's better. I could probably help them with some ins and outs of playing linebacker and defenses and coverages, but I know for a fact I can separate you mentally. So in from the others, and mentally means, showing up and understanding the difference between hearing me and listening, the difference between playing and competing. There's a difference, and people want to call it the process. People want to call it that's all it comes down to. And then you have to demand. I'm not asking you, okay? I'm not going to ask you to compete. I'm going to demand it. If I'm out here competing, if I'm laying on the line and I know I'm putting in 120 or 50% into it, then I'm going to demand it and ask it and not ask it from you. And I think obviously today, look, it's easy right now to start just darts at everything. I think Nebraska's biggest thing. I know Ohio State's a big, tall task, but it really doesn't matter who you play against until you really, really understand and try to peel back the onion, how we got to 56-7 on the road in Bloomington, Indiana. And once you do that, then you really become hyper focused against Ohio State. Because listen, if you turn the ball over on offense, if you don't stop anybody on third down, if you don't stop the run, if you don't complete passes, if you have turnover, it doesn't matter who you play against.
Yeah,
it really doesn't. So, Nebraska, again, is their biggest opponent, and the person that they're going to have to really prepare and compete against is themselves. And you got to do this from the very beginning, starting, whenever their next practice is. And so it's a little bit of a reality check. It's a little bit of a lot of a letdown. And so they got to bounce back from it.
On that point, right? And by the way, 402-464-5685, the Starter Heyman text line open. Unfortunately, not able to take calls out here in Bloomington, but once Austin takes over at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time, he will be able to field your calls and bring you on to the post-game show with Chancellor Brewington. Indiana's kneeling down. Nebraska just turned it over on downs. There's just over 60 seconds left in the ball game. Indiana's going to win this one 56-7. Kurt Cignetti's 7-0. Nebraska will fall to 5-2 overall. Right. I ask you this, Jay. You mentioned the next time Nebraska practices, and we remember what happened last year when Nebraska lost in this fashion to a team that eventually won the national championship in the Michigan Wolverines at home. What is the response? Because here's the brutal truth of it all. Matt Rule's going to have to get up on that podium, Dylan Raiola as well, and everything that they say, it doesn't necessarily matter, because I think coming up to the game, none of it really mattered. When you brought out like this,
right?
There's a lot of frustration, and there's going to be a lot of Husker fans that say, okay, yeah, sure, go ahead and say how frustrated you are, but go out and win a game.
I mean, it does matter what you say, because at least you have some sort of reality of what really happened, and so forth and so on. And to be honest with you, Cignetti knows that that they're probably not a 49-point better team than Nebraska, and so does Nebraska know that Indiana's not a better team than 49 points than they are. It just so happened today they kicked your butt. So you got to recognize it. You got to voice it, because if you don't, then that's not then you're not in part of the healing and actually rectifying process. Mm-hmm. And so really the biggest thing is you just got to come, get back to it and really listen, man. The hardest talks that people are going to have is with themselves, right? I mean, it's just like, okay, did I compete my best? Did I do this X, Y, and Z to give my chance and myself to play the best, so forth and so on, and then just go from there. Look, everybody's frustrated, everybody's embarrassed right now, and that's natural, right? I mean, it should be, but ultimately, a loss is a loss, and some look a lot different than others, but ultimately, the cure to this is getting your crap ready. Meaning, okay, we got to be a little bit tighter in our preparation. We got to be a little bit tighter in our mental focus. We got to understand we got to be more competitive, both in practice, in our meetings, in our weight room, in our film study, in our recovery. We got to understand, look, this game, as the season goes on, is going to get more and more competitive. And so now that we know, that 2 times that we need to really tighten our own screws up, then and then it just didn't work well. If you sit there and say, "Oh, the season's over," you might as well quit. We're going to Ohio State, and we lost by, I don't know, was it 49 here? So just just kind of go through the motions. Well, then you play a team that's definitely beatable the next week in UCLA, and then you got a bye week afterwards. Well, then you're at a point where I always say you're caught with your pants down and you're not ready to go. So ultimately, this comes down to fixing yourself, understanding what needs to be fixed, rectifying it, and then really going through the process of dealing with it. Don't run from it. Run from it, or not run from it. Deal with it. Obviously, you come to terms with it, and then wash it. But then also you just don't forget it. So there's old saying, forgive yourself, but don't forget, right? Forgive yourself for the simple fact that we didn't play the best that we could play, right? That's the honest to God truth. Nebraska didn't play nearly as good as they're capable of. So you forgive yourself for that, but in order to forgive yourself for that, you have to actually work towards that, right? You have to address some of the things that we need to get better at. We need to get better at obviously everything. So forth and so on. But then once you've done it and you continue to do it, you never forget about it. So when you're in the bye week, right, in 2-3 weeks or whatever it is, when you have a couple of practices, okay, well then this is our Indiana game. So to make sure the next game that we play after this, we don't have the same type of letdown. And so that's part of the process. Look, in this day and age of college football, you will get kind of these like off-brand butt kickings, but definitely today Nebraska didn't put their best foot forward, and that's probably the most disappointing thing. If you played somewhat good, right? Right? Am I correct? I mean, text, let me know
if it's a competitive loss. That's the phrase that I keep thinking about.
You're not okay with it, but you say, okay, I see it. Right here is just like, we didn't answer the bell defensively, which we've done over time. We've been able to kind of hold our head above water so many times. And then we just didn't, we didn't play the way we could have played. And that's what sucks right now. And, I'm sure they're frustrated and upset and rightfully so. But the biggest person for me that I'd be mad at is if I didn't play well, I'd be mad at myself.
Once again, 402-464-5685. The Starter Heyman text line is open for you, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo Channel 961. Feel free to comment on there. Got almost 600 people watching on the stream, so we appreciate you guys for your consistent and constant support. We got a lot of comments to get to. I'll get to them all in just a moment, get Jay's thoughts on them as well. By the way, want to thank our sponsors for allowing the trip to be possible: League One Volleyball, Heartland of Nebraska Windows, and Sandhills Global, in addition to our usual post-game partners, Anderson Ford of Lincoln, State Farm and Vinnie Kreekak, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, Tavern 180, and last but certainly not least, Tanner's Bar and Grill. All right, so it's obviously final, right? And we'll get to comments in just a moment. But one thing I do want to mention, Nebraska today 0 for 5 on fourth down attempts. They were 7 of 16 on third downs in the first half, at 1.6 of 10 on third down. So the remainder from that point on was 1 for 6 on third down opportunities. I want this kind of to be our next conversation piece of it, Jay. It was obvious from the get-go, obviously, that Nebraska had no intention of ever settling for 3. They had no intention of, and once you get down by a certain margin, you're going to go for it anyway. However, but I mean, we even talked about it up in the press box where it was, I mean, you could tell by Nebraska's decision and play calling and what they chose to do and go with on third down opportunities, third and medium more specifically, that it was always 2 downs. They always were viewing, all right, we have 2 downs to get the first.
Yeah, and in particular at those times, I think you're talking about they were down by 2 or more scores. I think you're really going back to when they went for it on 4th and 1, and then they fumbled the ball. I mean, I guess
there was that one, but then there was also like 20 when they were down 21-7. They were down, I mean, even 7-0 at point. Like there were a lot of times where they went on for it on 4th down. Well, Indiana did as well, and Nebraska stuffed them.
And that's predicated on, Nick. Well, first of all, the first 4th down, and when you get the first down and you fumble, everybody's like, well, you should have kicked the field goal. Well, you don't have a play pro right, 23 ISO fumble the ball after you get the first down. You fumbled the ball. That you can't have that happen. And then I think the ones when you're down 21-7, I think this is just, my thoughts is you also as a coordinator or coordinators, you're seeing, okay, we're having some trouble defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point in time, we actually have moved the ball decently. Obviously, we hadn't been scoring, but you're down 21-7. We had moved the ball, right, but shot ourselves in the own foot. So, I was not I didn't look at it as a negative to go for it on fourth down. I like you being aggressive, especially on the road. I just think that the execution, wasn't up to snuff, especially, defensively and then obviously offensively as well. So, and then I think, when you're playing with one hand behind your back going into a fist fight, where Indiana's able to pin their ears back, kind of have a really good beat on our wide receivers in their routes, and then obviously in the run game, they're able to, surge and get some push and stop our conventional run game. And then when you're down by 2-3 scores, especially at halftime, you're down by 21, sticking to the run isn't really going to happen unless you score in that first drive, and we did not do that. If we scored in that first drive, it's a different ball game. Now, if it was a fifth, we all be drunk, but at the end of the day, we didn't do it. And then Indiana stopped us, on that first drive, and then they came back and scored. So, I mean, it's like I said in this game here, it definitely is definitely disheartening in the competition level, like competing, right? But when you watch games like this, and like I said, I've been in very few of these and been blessed enough not to be in a lot of these, is that games like this can get out of control very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And it does have something to do with playing, but then they made plays too, right? You got to think of it's cause and effect. I mean, let's be honest, people out here listening. The games come down to about 6 or 7, maybe 8 plays. Right, when you're playing against like opponents. So that means these two. And who makes them or not. We saw against Illinois, I think they hit 6 of 6, in my opinion, when you go back to those specialty plays. A big play here is where I think Curtis O'Rourke was on the right hash or close to the right hash, threw a back shoulder fade on 3rd and 8 in one-on-one coverage. You like to think Tommy Hill makes that play and gets a pass defense or possibly an interception. He gets 15 yards. Yeah. Why is that important, right? Not only do we not get off the field on 3rd down, which then gives us another win on 3rd down, them another loss, we get the momentum back because they get actually, I call it a moment. I always think of what you get and then a half. Momentum in a half. You get the first down when you generally that's not their first option, right? Yeah. When you're throwing it all the way across the field, they get it. So if you get that and then you get half of it because you keep the ball, well, then you get another one, which is now is equivalent to 2.5 to 3 in momentum chart, according to Jay Foreman, because you score a touchdown, right? It's about 2.5 if you hold them to a field goal. So those type of plays or those type of that's the situation of football that we didn't win at all, right? Yeah. Okay, we start with the fumble on 4th and 1. We start with, not really getting off to a good rhythm in the first drive, right? Or we starting off in the first 3rd down for Nebraska defensively when we first got to the game, which led them to get that first touchdown. 3rd and like medium 4 to 6 or 7, that's where we got to win on the road. You win those, you get them off, the momentum's off, they score, they end up scoring. Now they're like, okay, well, this is just how we did it. They haven't faced any adversity, and that's what we have to do. So I think it's, I'll just call those specialty plays, right? Yeah. Like specialty plays that those aren't the ones that you're going to see on TV. Right now, the 3rd one against Tommy Hill and the fumble, cool, of course. But when people talk about this game or talk about, what needs to get better, they're thinking the low-hanging fruit. Yeah. Oh, we need to fire this coach. We need to do this. We need to run these type of plays. Well, I'm talking about the execution of the plays that were ran and the opportunities that were missed. Yeah. And if we make those plays with some of our better and well-known players, then we're really cooking with peanut oil, like I like to say, because those are the guys that, remember, we talked about before the game, your big name players, your big name guys have got to carry the water pail up the slippery slope without dropping the water or let it spill over.
That's another thing is, I mean, there is some of your quote unquote, and this is with, you have to be always careful, I think, with how you want to phrase things because your quote unquote leaders today did not show up.
Right.
No, I mean, frankly, nobody showed up. Right. But you expect some of your more experienced guys, the ones that we always talk about playing on Sundays or having the potential to play on Sundays, you'd expect them to show up in a game like today. And none of the guys that suited up for Nebraska showed up this afternoon in Bloomington. All right, let's get to some of these quick messages here, just rapid fire. Let's just go right through them. We'll start on the YouTube and the video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Allo Channel 961. All right, so we got, I just hope we don't hear, this comes from Rob, I just hope we don't hear that we didn't execute in the post game. I mean, that's the joke of, I mean, that's the reality of it. Nathan says, what a joke of a team. Tim says, why do we praise Tony White's defense? Holy crap, that was bad. Rob says, I coached 4th grade basketball and am more competitive than the defense was today. Tim says, we will lose every game. Hopefully UCLA is winnable. Silver Cloak on the YouTube stream says, we will be fine. Dan, hope I don't hear, we're looking ahead to Ohio State in the post-game conference. Field goal unit, this comes from Castle Dragon. Field goal unit needs to be able to become dependable. We got this one from Lathan. That defense showed no effort, no discipline. They didn't even show up. Bulldog says, no excuse to play that poorly after a bye week. That's all coaching. I know we already talked pretty deep about that. Jason says, Sig, Coach Kurt Signetti, coaches to win. That guy is awesome. That was the preview for next week. Buckle up, folks. All right, let's go to the text line, 402-464-5685. All right, here we go. Nebraska took major steps backwards. Let's talk about that first.
Right.
Because as bad as this was, and there's no sugarcoating, this was atrocious. It is one game.
Yeah, I mean it's no
like I'm not trying to like put out this fire and tell Husker fans, hey, calm down, don't get them all riled up. It was not that bad. It was bad. But also you have 7 days to get it going in the right direction.
And it's also you're still in the process of teaching, demanding, and holding kids accountable and what it takes to be a new version of Nebraska.
Yeah.
Cornhusker, and which also goes in learning how to win and compete. Yeah. So this is what happens sometimes. You make 2 or 3 steps forward. You think you maybe got figured out. You really maybe pull the wool over your eyes, and boom, you get your blankets pulled off, and it's awful cold out there. Yeah. And so, no, I don't. By no means do I think it's time to turn off the lights and just throw your hands up in the season and stuff like that. I just think it was listen, I will tell you this. Sometimes you just get your butt kicked, and we got our butt kicked. That doesn't mean that we can't kick somebody's butt. That doesn't mean that we can't be a totally different team. And I will tell you this. Listen, here's an example. Rutgers, we beat Rutgers. Rutgers goes up to Wisconsin, gets blown out of the frame. They're here. They came and they're pulling out this victory today.
Rutgers fell to UCLA on the road today.
Right, but I'm saying
I know what you mean.
Different looking
You're
team
right.
Where you can continue to play well. There's times where and here's how tricky this game is. We're watching Miami against Louisville right now. Miami's down by 24 points to Virginia Tech, over 28 points to Cal. They go on a magical run 2 weeks back to back, and they end up winning 2 games. Now they're 6-0. Yeah, they lose those 2 games. They're talking about getting rid of Mario Cristobal. Versus coming in against Louisville, they're barely favored, or if at all, on the road, and they're 6-0, number 6 in the nation. So what I mean is this, and this is not to minimize, the performance today. Is just that it's a week-to-week type of deal with Nebraska, and we're in college football where we're at. We're not at the place or at the point to where we're a guaranteed, we're not Texas where you're like, okay, well, it's guaranteed we're gonna go out there and hang 40.
There's a lot of people. Steve says no excuses. Indiana coach was able to get bottom feeders out of the portal, stomped the snot out of us. They had 2 weeks. They be in Nebraska, but also they be in Indiana. Yeah. I feel like Jay. I mean, that we've kept it pretty realistic throughout these first 45 minutes. We got on the program, or I should say about 40 minutes. We got on the program before the game even got over, because we have a hard cutoff of 4 Eastern time, which is it's 3:46 right now here, 2:45 back home in Lincoln, because we got a flight to catch. But Austin will be able to carry you through the rest of your post-game coverage with Chancellor Brewington back in our 93.7 The Ticket Studios. A couple more. Let's get to the text line, 402-464-5685. Come out second half. This comes from 8999. Come out the second half, go down the field, go for it on 4th rather than get the points, get a little momentum. But no, we go for it over and over. Terrible coaching staff. A random nobody can call a better offensive scheme than this. Harburg should not be on the field every other play. Cover another person. It's not hard. We overcomplicate it. That's a long one there from the unnamed texter. Tom says, if Nebraska does not beat UCLA at home, I have serious concerns about them making a bowl game unless we show drastic improvements. UCLA is still weeks away. You still got a couple of weeks away from UCLA. I think that we got to be careful there on talking about that. Ohio Husker quickly just says fire Satterfield. 7201 says, what an embarrassment after 2 weeks to prepare. Terrible showing. Fire falls back to coaching. How about this one? We've gotten a lot of texts about Dylan Raiola, and we've had a lot of questions on whether or not Nebraska should have benched Dylan Raiola, even if it was just for 2 series or so. We've gotten that. Well, I know we've gotten that though the last couple of weeks, to where maybe Dylan wasn't the strongest. Nebraska's offense as a whole wasn't the most complete or effective. How about this? I would ask the Husker fans this, and I ask you this. There's no real positive to benching a guy 2 series like they're saying or suggesting, and then saying, okay, you know what? Now you've had a chance to sit and think about it. Go back out there and be better.
Yeah, I mean, that's dumb. I mean, it's. I shouldn't say. You know what? I never want to call people dumb or do anything like that. I just think it's like I said, it's the easy thing to do. Bench the quarterback and then what?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's just like, you know, people like, you know, everybody's thinking it's a talent thing. Like there's an evaluation process of like that people don't talk about. It's so easy to say it was talent. You got to do this. You got to do that. Well, at the end of the day, you a football player, or you not, dude. Like, you a competitor or not? Like, yeah, you know, Signetti came over 14 of his guys. They know what they're doing. They've had a very easy schedule, and it's all kind of worked out for them. And you got to give them a ton of credit because not only have they learned how to win, they've done it, and then they significantly got better at things that they've wanted to do, or, you know, offensively, defensively. Yeah. So now that's how you're able to kind of pour it on, and he has an aggressive attitude. But you can't compare it. You can't compare it. You know, it's you know, you can get into the game plan and the, you know, I guess the scheme and schematics and all that, and that's great. But ultimately, waking up in the morning and being ready to play is that. Like, the old saying, I could run 3 coverages. If I run the coverages right, I know and it's ran to perfection and we adjust all 11 guys, then I will make a bad call right. You can get into let's be honest. If you're not competitive, if you don't play well, so what does the plays matter? I would ask somebody. I used to get that all the time in basketball. You know, like, and this is funny. Like, we played one time, and you know, we were winning it, and then we were winning by 12. We're playing zone. Well, then we stopped playing defense. Well, we should have played man. Well, what if you ain't playing defense? Then all of a sudden you think you're going to do something else. You know, we start running like all these different pass routes. All of a sudden that's going to work. You know what I'm saying? We got to execute, and we didn't execute today. And you know, we took an L, and that's just the way it is. And by no means do I think that the season's over. It's a rough 2 weeks, right? And by no means does this make the Ohio State game easier. You put a lot more pressure on it, but ultimately, this is going to come. This next week is Nebraska versus Nebraska. Yeah. Jay Foreman against Jay Foreman. Nick Sainer against Nick Sainer. If we were on the team, this is us against us, dude. Because you know Ohio State's talented way back in the offseason when they spent 20-some million or 13 million on their team. You knew what Indiana was before you start playing them. We have to make sure that we're showing up with our best version of ourselves before we worry about who we're playing. And then that comes down. Our best version is going to come down to execution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Benching players. What are you going? I mean, like, this is not. You got a freshman quarterback. Okay, he's played what, 7 games? 7
now.
Okay. Part of the reason why you're 5-0 is because you got that freshman quarterback, and that's honestly got truth. The reason why it looks a lot different, obviously, besides today, is because he takes care of the ball and he can play pitch and catch and play quarterback. Now you want to bench him, because he hasn't didn't play his best game. I mean, this is what you're trying to do, and then you're trying to get other guys there. You got people out here always talking about recruits. Okay, it's fine. You get recruits in. That's great. All right. Well, do you think like if I'm a 4-star recruit, then I'm gonna come here and then I just roll? Like, people that talk about it are stupid. Because no, I'm gonna go off right here. Because at the end of the day, you make your star ranking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you're valedictorian at your school, you just don't go to class and you become the best math person in the whole state by just going to class for 1 or 5 hours a week, 1 day a week. You got to put in extra effort for it, right?
Yeah.
You got to be competitive. Then if we come down to it, I got to be ready to answer it under the circumstances to make sure it's pressure packed. And so when it's look, it's going to be a long flight home. They're going to have to deal with some stuff, and they got to answer some questions, and that's fine. They earned it, right? It's no different if we won, then we earned it that way. So that's just part of playing Nebraska. You get pats on the back, that's fine, right? You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to get, pimp slapped up the head and beside your head when you don't play good.
Yeah, I think also to that. I mean, there's going back to the evolution, the growth, the determination of players too. I mean, you have guys all over the field, but like Nebraska's offensive line didn't play well. We didn't even get to talk about the offensive line today. You have guys that have the most starts in school history at a spot, and they're committing crucial penalties game after game, crucial holding calls game after game. That has nothing to do with play call. That has nothing to do with scheme. That has nothing to do with whether or not you're going for it on 3rd and 8 or you're going for it on 4th and 5. Has nothing to do with anything with Marcus Satterfield. To your point, Jay, that's players right there.
I mean, you got to do it. Look, I wish I could, somehow put something on my brain and then people could actually understand. What I'd like to do is go through a week, just like a YouTube of what it takes to play a game. And then what it takes in the mindset, in the conversations that you have with yourself to play a big game. Yeah. Because it's different. You know what I mean? When you're going into the Lions, then this is not look, man, if I'm a linebacker coach, linebacker like Coach Samuel and Kevin Steele and Coach Craig Bolt, listen, man, you can get we're going to go over the game plan, but I'm telling you right now, my job is to show up and be ready to kick ass. That's my job. Okay. Their job is to tell me about plays, situation, and coverages. My job, me personally, right, which I only can control, is what type of mood I may wake up on Saturday morning. That's my job.
We're about ready to get out of here from the tap.
Hey, they kicked our butts, so they should give us some free food.
I know. Jeez, look at this guy. Look at him. Look at him.
Hey, can't we get an ass fee?
50% off.
50%
no,
off.
Seriously, everybody from the tap has been incredible. Everybody from the tap has been incredible. Jay, we're in the Lions Den here. Remember, who.
Man,
but here's the thing.
Every time I looked up, man, they was them hooping and hollering.
I know, but here's a couple quotes from Matt Rule, and Austin and Chancellor will have more reaction here in a few minutes. Rule said that Nebraska didn't tackle well, couldn't get a stop, and Indiana blocked well in the perimeter and put Nebraska in a bind. Matt Rule said, quote, "Everything should be pointed right at me." He also said, quote, "I didn't see this coming. I thought that we'd play great." Says that he's embarrassed by his own inability to get the team ready for the game. All right, Jay, I'll go through this real quick. Cannot say it enough. Thank you so much to League One Volleyball, Heartland of Nebraska Windows, and Sandhills Global for allowing this trip out to Bloomington to be possible. Jay and I are about ready to hop on a plane, get back to Lincoln later tonight.
Columbus, and then we're going to LA.
Right, there you go. So
listen, all the sponsors, you better start ponying up.
Hey, I don't know if they want us back. Maybe we're bad. Maybe we're bad luck.
We ain't bad luck, but we bad luck because I'm gonna have the itinerary. We're going every damn week, every damn away game until we win.
If you would like to sponsor and be a part of our trips in the future, our excursions out here to the road games, we will. I mean, this has been incredible. This has been a really fun couple of days. Bloomington as the city, great spots. Indiana, the football team, kind of on the enemy list, I suppose, if you're Nebraska football after a 56-7 victory. Okay, so, Jay, before we get your final thoughts, once again, post-game coverage will continue. Jay and I will get out of here, head over to the Indianapolis airport. It's about an hour drive from our current spot in Bloomington, and we'll hand it off to our 93.7 The Ticket Studios with Austin Orman and Chancellor Brewington. Thanks to our usual and our post-game sponsors there, Anderson Ford of Lincoln, State Farm and Vinnie Kreekak, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Action Plumbing, Heating, AC and Electrical, Tavern 180, and Tanner's Bar and Grill. We just went about 40 minutes commercial-free. So I apologize, Austin. That probably creates a little bit of a headache for you guys back at our station, but we appreciate all all the coverage, all you guys for out with us on our streams, our feeds these last 48 hours from Bloomington, Indiana. It's been a really good couple of days. Once again, thanks to League One Volleyball Omaha, Heartland of Nebraska Windows, and Sand Hills Global. Jay Foreman, final words before we get ready, turn the page and look ahead to Nebraska, Ohio State next Saturday from Columbus, another big noon kickoff game at 11 a.m.
Man, watch the tape, process it, and just, work on yourself, man. I mean, obviously it was disheartening and was disappointing. I mean, it's great for Coach Rule, to take the, point the blame at himself, which is obviously significantly different than any coaches we had in the past. But ultimately, I'm big on player-led teams, if you want to wear the C on your chest, and then you got to be there. You got to be there when it matters as well, or when the things get dusty, And so I think the biggest thing that you got to do is just get better at yourself and learn what the difference between practicing and running plays and competing, and then let's worry about game plan. Sure, we can change the game plan, but let's change our mindset first. Let's change our approach, and that's an individual choice. That's a captain's choice. That's a unity council choice. And then once you do that, then, we'll be good from there.
There you have it.
We appreciate the support, though.
Yeah, seriously. Appreciate it a ton. We'll get back to
Indiana. Who's your fan? Well, I want to smack the hell out of somebody.
We got to get out of here safely, all right?
I'm going to get out of here safely. I don't know about you.
Well, there you go. So appreciate you guys following us from Bloomington, Indiana. We're going to get out of here, make our way back to good old Lincoln, Nebraska. Get ready for the Huskers and the Buckeyes. More post-game coverage coming on the other side. Once again, thanks to our three sponsors for allowing the trip to be possible: League One Volleyball, Heartland of Nebraska Windows, and Sand Hills Global. Jay Foreman, Nick Sainert signing off one final time from Bloomington. Austin Norman and Chancellor Brewington, more post-game coverage on the other side on 93.7 The Ticket.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, take over $11,000 off a 2024 Ford F-150. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1004296, MSRP of $66,645. Must finance with Ford Motor Company and have a qualifying trade and approved credit. Tax, side loan, license fees, extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 11/13/24. See delivery details.
This show's pretty rockin', huh?
Yeah, I'm so glad my State Farm agent helped me go.
Huh?
My State Farm agent. They help me with options to personalize my auto insurance to get a great rate that fits my budget, so I don't have to give up the things I love.
Wow. Hey, so do you think I could get your State Farm agent's number?
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Individual premiums and budgets will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith. Innovation has a name. Call Greens at 402-467-4444 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-4444.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Hay harvest is a race against time. Order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower to harvest your hay quickly and efficiently while promoting quick dry down for quality hay. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year. Contact your local Landmark location for full details on a new self-propelled windrower and experience the Landmark difference.
Attention students and anyone else looking for a great deal. Sun Valley Lanes and Games has the ultimate weeknight special. For just $15.95, enjoy unlimited bowling, lucky putt mini golf, and laser tag. Flash your college ID at check-in to receive $2 off your admission. It's the perfect way to unwind Sunday through Thursday nights. Check out sunvalleylanes.com for hours and availability. Sun Valley Lanes and Games, located at 321 Victory Lane.
Lincoln's best place to meet, eat, and compete. Sun Valley.
Hey, Nebraska football fans, it's defensive lineman Ty Robinson, and I've got a winning play for you with Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. Team up with Action and install a new Bradford white water heater in your home. And if we win the conference championship this season, you'll get a full refund. Don't fumble this opportunity. Sack your old water heater this season and score big with Action. Visit actionlincoln.com/Huskers to learn more.
Promotion valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Tanner's Bar and Grill is the best place in Lincoln for a casual get-together, best place to watch a game, and the best for pre- and post-game. Catch college and NFL football as well as the volleyball action this season at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. What's better than wings, cold beer, and a Husker win? Enjoy great food and drink specials every day and tons of TVs to catch all the action. Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier Kawasaki dealership. Score big on Kawasaki's most dependable side-by-side, the Mule Pro, built to take on your most demanding days. Rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of October. On or off-road, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with large selection of motorcycles and side-by-sides in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Stop by every Saturday for their Husker tailgate with free food, drinks, and games.
This is Shane Podliska, mortgage lender at Lincoln Federal Savings Bank. I'm here to help you achieve your goal, the American dream of home ownership. Whether you're buying your first home or looking to refinance, I've got the experience and know-how to make it happen. So let's tackle this together. Call me, Shane Podliska, and let's get you into the end zone of home ownership. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Go Big Red.
Personal banking like you remember.
Once in a lifetime event. You miss it, it's gone forever. It's Schaefer's 78th anniversary extravaganza.
Maybe a little dramatic, but you get the point. It's Schaefer's 78th anniversary. Our celebration means savings for you on top names throughout our huge TV gallery. Plus, save hundreds on Serta, Beauty Rest, and Sutherland mattress sets, and get free delivery on your qualified purchase. Hurry in for the savings during Schaefer's 78th anniversary event.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Tavern 180, Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical.
All right, back at 1040 O Street, back in Lincoln, Austin Norman, Chancellor Brewington with you. As long as you have thoughts, we're hanging out. We'll be here. 402-464-5685. Text or call, leave a comment on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter streams. Big thanks again to the sponsors, Anderson Ford of Lincoln, Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinnie Kreekak with State Farm, and Elway Power Sports of Lincoln. Well, Chancellor, that happened.
That did happen.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy's right. Rule said he thought it was going to be an ugly game.
He wanted it to be an ugly game.
He wanted it to be an ugly game. Well, you got what you asked for. It was ugly. Not probably the ugly you wanted, but it was ugly. And, I mean, I'll go first initial thoughts, Austin. When I'm looking through the game, I mean, first drive, I'm like, okay, I'm expecting for defense to stop the run because I think that was the game plan. You stop the run, force Indiana to get in obvious pass situations. Then you eat up, you send your blitzes, yada, yada, yada. But what happens when you can't stop the run, now Indiana runs for 215 yards. And then they, match that with 280, passing yards. There were just, the game plan was executed on the defensive end. And then, starting the game off. You don't really get to go your first, true 10 plays because the Ja'Cory Barney catching it at the 1 yard line situation. I'm thinking everything got botched up, in a good way, special teams bye week, but obviously, first play, we can't get everything right, of course, but nah, it was frustrating to watch. It was not what I thought was going to happen. I expected I thought the Huskers were going to win. I thought it was going to be at least close, right? But this raises a lot of question marks. And I don't want to overreact, but I do want to tell the truth. Like, look, like that was pretty bad. That was pretty bad.
Worst game under rule by far.
Yeah,
I know Michigan happened last year, but that was the ultimate national champion.
Yeah, because you look at that was a star-studded team. They're going to win the Natty. Like, so, yeah, it definitely. I would say the worst game under rule. It was tough to watch, and you look at Kurt Senegi, you see how their staff was, and just how well they're coached. He just went on Fox and said that his OC in DC has been with him for 10 years. His, special teams guy for 5-6 years. So you're seeing when people say, wow, this team looks really well coached, really polished. Well, the staff and the principles and the things that's been instituted for the past 10 years has just flowed over to Indiana. So they're not reinventing the wheel. They're doing the same thing at JMU. Same thing before when he was at Division II school, right? So we're seeing the carryover and the effectiveness of that. But it's frustrating because now you look at Nebraska and you're like, why can't we do that? We're in the second year. And it's like, well, we have to understand, we still got a really young receiver coach. OC still trying to figure it out. Defense is good, of course, but still, there's still holes. We saw it today.
We absolutely did. There's a lot to get to on scheme, on effort. You said it raises a lot of questions. What are the first questions it raises for you?
I would say defensively. How are we going to respond from this? Especially going to Ohio State. They watch this. Obviously, they got a bye week, so they're at home watching this, and I know they're watching this and they're like, man, this gonna be, licking their chops, right? Licking their chops. Especially the offensive end on Ohio State. I think it's really, how's this defense gonna respond? Because if you don't have this defense, you don't really got nothing. I'm gonna be honest with you, because it frustrates me, and I'll say this: the next point is probably the waste of Dylan Raiola's talent. Because I know he threw 3 picks, but if you really look at the game, he's waiting for guys to get open. He's waiting for a separation. They played a lot more man than I thought. Receivers couldn't get open. O-line was having trouble. So like he's having to scramble throughout the pocket and, make these incredible throws here and there. But eventually, things break down. Some batted balls, obviously throw 3 picks. But it's like, man, we gotta rally for this kid specifically, because this is a talent you can't lose. And I'm not. That's a little, down the picture. But you can't waste a talent like this. And maybe you can't compete for the Big Ten, but there's still things ahead of you that you can look forward to.
You said something before we get back into the scheme, before we go too far into the minutia of it. You said you wanted to tell the truth, but not overreact. To me, an overreaction is fire everybody.
Right.
Certainly changes will have to be made, right? But we could have said that at any point over the offseason. I think we did at some points. I also don't think it would be telling the truth to say that Nebraska is going to go 0-6 in the second half of the year. Is it on the table? Absolutely.
Yeah,
the 5-1 is also on the table, just as, or 4-1 now, but I don't think it's going to happen. My point is, this is the worst we've seen Nebraska play.
Oh, yeah.
By far, right? They've had moments of clunkiness in pretty much every game. This was start to finish bad. Pretty much all 3 phases at all times were bad. Nebraska should not play this poorly again. They shouldn't.
Yeah.
So you can't expect this level of play from Nebraska out of the next 5 games, right? We have the same sort of reaction after Illinois. This is the worst Nebraska's going to play. No, Nebraska hasn't necessarily gotten better since Illinois. No, there's not another Purdue or Rutgers on the schedule, but UCLA, still not great. I'm not saying they're real, they're legit, they're contenders. That's an opportunity for a win. You hope things get tightened up, but I think it's far too soon. I think it's far too harsh to A, say fire everyone, and B, say oh, season's over. There's no shot Nebraska's going to a bowl game.
Yeah, and I know that's the MO in the last, 3 or 4 years to do that, right? But I think you have to understand, like, this team is still a lot of pieces away, specifically O-line. If you have a different O-line, in receiver play, I think we have good receivers. But eventually, to separate in this conference, we're going to need, some guys on the outside who can consistently get open no matter coverage, yada, yada, yada. And I would say, just a more disciplined offense. And, I think defensively, up to this point, I'm thinking we're good, right? So this is a whole curveball, a lot to process, obviously after this game. But no, you don't jump ship, and you don't say, man, it's over, or whatever. Like, you got an Ohio State game, and then right after that, I believe you have UCLA, and then SC. So you have opportunities. Obviously the Ohio State game is now going to be a bigger hurdle than we thought. Because if you can't stop the pass and can't even take away the run, then Ohio State will have a field day with you. And that will take care of itself. And then, hopefully you can get that win against, UCLA and go bowling. But you still, you have a lot of things to play for. You want to get a winning season, of course. You want to get as many wins. You want guys to want to come to Nebraska, and we start off strong, but we're about to get into the strength of the schedule and really see what this team is made of.
A lot of people are chiming in here. I'm not going to shout out everyone that said this here. It's embarrassing and it's disappointing coming off of a bye week. This team didn't look ready to go. We saw that under previous staffs as well. Flat the entire way when there really shouldn't be an excuse for being flat. You're going on the road where you have to create your own juice, bring your own energy, that sort of concept. You're going into an emotionally charged environment. And Chancellor, I've long been someone who prides the coaches, the players, the athletic directors, whoever you are in sports. If you're able to keep a level head, I think that generally serves you well.
Yeah.
But what we saw was a fired up Indiana. We saw a fired up Kurt Cignetti. And even if he wasn't over the top emotional, right, he was pointed. He was direct. He walked with that confidence. I'm not going to say Nebraska wasn't confident coming in, but where is the edge for this team? They don't seem to have that extra little oomph, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams on a regular week. Now, let alone coming off a bye week going into this environment, this team has not found that next gear or any sort of edge emotionally.
Yeah, I agree. It almost looked like, you mentioned coming off a bye week. You usually come out with energy. You come out, real disciplined, real polished, fundamentals, well rested, body feels good. And from the start, there was just an energy thing. And I don't know if it is we have a new thing where we can't play at 11 a.m. I don't know if we start off slow there. But after the Ja'Cory Barney, I would say, first drive offensively for Indiana, then the Ja'Cory Barney catching it, on the 1 yard line. I just feel like those type of things, when I feel like there's like a mental barrier when we see like a team score or like we mess up on special teams, all of a sudden it turns into like in my opinion, it turns into like a snowball effect. And, it ends up being kind of like a domino effect, like how, then it leads into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I hope that's not a, morning time game. But this is the week where we kind of see, and I said this before the game, and, I still stand by it, but it's a harsh statement. I said, after this game, you are who you are. And so when I look at the score, that might be who you are. I mean, you can't run the football, maybe defensively, it was a fluke in some areas, right? Whatever. But you just saw, I think Indiana. Now the next question is, where does this Indiana team go? Are they a college football team playoff? Are they are they going to compete with Oregon? Are they going to beat Ohio State this year? Like you don't know where this team is, but I know for sure they're going to end up top 15, top 14 after this week. I'm sure there'll be some changes, but you got to find out a way to get that pride, that will to go in. And that starts, just coming, watching the film and taking the beating in the film room. Right. And then coming out to practice and walk through and correcting the things. And then Play with your hair on fire on Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday. Go film study some more Friday, and put your best shot against Ohio State. You can't take this loss into Ohio State week.
Did the team quit today?
I won't say they quit, but you definitely saw. I just think they got outcoached. I don't think the guys quit. I think there was a defeated energy to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they quit, but I'll say this: I think schematically, like scheme wise, I just think they got outcoached. I don't,
Indiana put them in tough positions. They didn't respond by making a play.
Yeah, that's fair to say. That's fair to say.
You mentioned Indiana, right, as a college football playoff contender. Yet another game and yet another season where Nebraska fans are left wondering, why can't that ever be us? Again, right? How does seemingly every other program in America make it look so simple? You can go back to Mel Tucker, year 2, catch lightning in a bottle with the transfer portal class. You can go back to, obviously this Indiana team, but Nebraska has had so many resets and restarts and bumps in the road where it seems like other programs don't run into them. It's just another example of something is going on behind the scenes that we don't know about that is plaguing this team, this athletic. I don't know what it is, but that is not the only explanation right now.
Yeah, there's definitely the most cliche answer is, coaching. And I think honestly, that's what I have to go with. I mean, there's not, I don't know if, some people call it there's a curse, whatever it is. Like, I can't go there, but what I will say is a block in the back on, 3rd or 2nd and 4, causing it to be, 2nd and 19, a false start here, a hit in the face mask here, and you flip the tape around and you watch Indiana and they're like, wow, there's no penalties, there's really no mistakes, there's no, false starts, there's no, they got a defensive PI call, but other than that, I mean, really polished, don't turn the ball over, play really good ball. So it poses the question, Austin, I got to say this, are you really doing everything? Are we just talking about it? Are you really doing everything? Are we just like trying to make sure we're the toughest team, or we want to be the smartest team, and we want to be the most polished team, and we want to be the most when we get a curveball, we go back to our standard. We don't always want to just be the toughest team that just hits people in the mouth, right? We want to hit people in the mouth at the right time and understand, when to do this and when to do that, and play with good technique and this and this. So it poses the question. I can't neither confirm nor deny it, but what I can say is it's definitely a question mark of, okay, what leaps does this coaching staff need to take, and what leaps does the players itself need to take?
And they work hand in hand, right? Players making plays make coaches look better, but coaches doing their job helps players get better, right? And I think there's a lot of areas you can look at this. I think especially with the offense, the day that you score only 7 points against the defense with more holes than one to just give up 7 points. We're getting a lot of the fire Satterfield texts and calls, and it's only natural. I get it. I don't want to be the guy to sit here and call for anyone's job, right? I've defended Marcus Satterfield to a point. Some of it was play calling, but even, first play of the game, you and I are sitting back there with Harrison watching the game. You're saying, throw the hitch to the top of the screen. Second play of the game.
Yeah.
Nair runs the wrong route.
It doesn't even run a route.
Or doesn't even run a route. Is that on Garrett McGuire? Is that on Marcus Satterfield? Is that on Isaiah Nair? Who knows? But Nebraska, inside that receiver room, has to identify correctly where the issue is. If that was a bad play call at a bad time, that goes on Marcus Satterfield's play.
Right.
If Garrett McGuire's not communicating or telling Isaiah Nair the wrong thing, that goes on him. If you're Isaiah Nair, as an upperclassman, and you have a brain fart in that moment, that's on you. It goes on your ledger.
Second play of the game.
Second play of the game.
You're
backed up to your 2-yard line.
I'll say it like this. My coach at Nebraska used to say this to me. One of my coaches at Nebraska, I won't say his name, but he used to say, because we would have problems in different rooms, right? So he would say this to me. He would say, if you guys play bad, that reflects on me and my coaching. So if you have MAs, that means I taught you to have MAs. So when you
missed assignments
that reflects on my personality and my character. So he used to take super, initiative to always make sure that we knew what we was doing at all times. We were overcoached at some, not in a bad way, but we had the coaching points to where we got out there and it was easy and we didn't mess up. And so when I see a lot of guys messing up, I can see it. Like, I'm a former player, so I can see guys like they're not running routes full speed sometimes, like the block in the back stuff. You're just being lazy in some things. I can see Dylan waiting. He's waiting for guys to get open. He's waiting for guys, to make conversions on their routes, and it's not happening. You can see the frustration. You can see the lackadaisicalness in the route running. And I think that needs to be hammered in practice. That needs to be hammered in fall camp. Obviously, that's a little late for that.
And you just lost your first bye week.
Yeah, you did. And then it posed the question, what'd you do during the bye week? Punt team, we didn't get a punt blocked.
We did not.
But we did
also didn't miss a field goal.
We did, yeah. We did get a shank, though.
True. It was rushed.
Yeah. I mean, we, low snap there, but we made some adjustments punt game. So if there's anything we should give applause for, shout out to, Coach Foley and the guys for widening out the splits on the punt game, making sure, some things got ironed out there. But, looking forward, we still, you take a step in the punt direction and all of a sudden the defense, messes up. You take a step in the kicking game, and all of a sudden, you throw 3 picks. So it's like, it's like this whack-a-mole situation where there's always something popping up. You got to find a new solution. I don't know what the solution is. The guys have to figure out, and the coaches do.
The bright spots are Quentin Ives had a 40-yard kick return. Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda had a 5-yard punt return, and Ja'Cory Barney scored a touchdown.
Right.
That's really about it. Well, while we're here on Dylan Raiola specifically, 28 of 44 on the day, 234 yards, the 3 interceptions. One of them really behind Fedoni. Last one looked like some miscommunication, right? Looks like he expected his receiver to come back to the ball. Receiver broke inside. Maybe that's just my read. Tell me if I'm wrong. But he was put in tough situations. Joel Klatt got on Emmett Johnson for one of the interceptions, missing a block, missing an assignment, right? Not having the vision to see the guy outside, just getting right into his route without blocking. There are certainly some off-platform throws that aren't working, right? He short-armed a couple that didn't get there. He has to shore up the fundamentals. He is not talented enough quite yet to get away with the lack of fundamentals, maybe like he did in high school sometimes. But that being said, your 2 upperclassmen wide receivers transfers aren't getting open and creating separation. Thomas Fedoni just had his first real appearance of the year. If Dylan Raiola is forced to go to his check down, 3 out of every 5 looks, and he's running for his life on the other 2, no matter how much more you expect of him fundamentally, you're not exactly putting him in the best incubator for his success moving forward.
Yeah, you're definitely not. And I know for sure that a lot of this is that the O-line can't protect certain things. And I think I was expecting, and this is kind of where the frustration, I was expecting a lot more quick game to help out, this O-line and help out Raiola getting a rhythm. But it seems like every time we drop back, we're trying to hit a home run, or we're trying to, it's a 15, 16-yard play when we can just take, 2 to 3 yards and let guys get upfield. We saw Indiana do a great job of that early on. We see, teams that, throw the football effectively, they have a strong quick game. And Nebraska has struggled with that, for the past, 3 or 4 years, 4 or 5 years, actually, just establishing a quick game and, not really relying all the times on that, the 20-yard deep cross or the, stuff like that. Although that's fine, right? But I think that helps out Dylan. And a lot of times, when he's outside the pocket, having to scramble and, guys don't know scramble drill and they're just running all over the place, faking out Dylan, right? And he's expecting guys to be in a certain spot. That's when the picks happen. And also, like, guys aren't, I would just say the O-line just as a passing pocket. I just think, we've a lot of things has collapsed and Dylan's not able to just go through his reads like he was able to at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, it was pretty easy for him to go through things because, we're playing UTEP, we're playing Colorado.
So does he have to speed up his own internal clock, or do receivers have to win?
Well, he speeds up his internal clock, but it forces bad habits, it forces bad feet, and that's when you see him like throwing off 1 foot or whatever. It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to do that, but he's doing it because Guys running free down the middle, or, his left tackle biffs, or, right guard biffs, or this, and this. So there's still a lot of pieces that this Nebraska offense needs. They've taken a step this year. Let's not forget about that. They've taken a step, but to compete with a top 15 team, a real college football team, like a college football playoff team that we just played in Indiana, we're going to need some more pieces in the O-line. We're going to need some more receivers. And we're gonna have to learn how to run the football efficiently.
Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the show. Keep your thoughts coming. We will get to them on the text line 402-464-5685, as well as on the Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter streams. Thanks to Starter Heyman Jewelers for those. This is live post-game coverage from 1040 O Street. Austin Norman, Chancellor Brewington with you, taking more of your thoughts when we get back.
This is Chris Elgert, loan originator at Lincoln Federal. With over 20 years in the industry, I have found it's extremely gratifying to solve my customers' home financing needs and then show them the options and strategies available for them to fulfill their goals. But my biggest reward comes when I watch my valued customers experience the American dream of home ownership and move into their new home. Talk with me about your home loan at Lincoln Federal and Go Big Red. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Personal banking like you remember.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Lease a 2024 Ford F-150 for $437 per month for 36 months. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1004120, $437 per month, lease for 36 months with approved credit, 7,500 miles per year, 5,500 due with signing, no security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 9/30/2024. See dealer for details.
Anyone else looking for a great deal? Sun Valley Lanes and Games has the ultimate weeknight special. For just $15.95, enjoy unlimited bowling, lucky putt mini golf, and laser tag. Flash your college ID at check-in to receive $2 off your admission. It's the perfect way to unwind Sunday through Thursday nights. Check out sunvalleylanes.com for hours and availability. Sun Valley Lanes and Games, located at 321 Victory Lane.
Lincoln's best place to meet, eat, and compete. Sun Valley.
Tanner's Bar and Grill is the best place in Lincoln for a casual get-together, best place to watch a game, and the best for pre- and post-game. Catch college and NFL football as well as the volleyball action this season at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. What's better than wings, cold beer, and a Husker win? Enjoy great food and drink specials every day and tons of TVs to catch all the action. Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started. It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier Kawasaki dealership. Score big on Kawasaki's most dependable side-by-side, the Mule Pro, built to take on your most demanding days. Rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of October. On or off-road, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with large selection of motorcycles and side-by-sides in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Stop by every Saturday for their Husker tailgate with free food, drinks, and games.
Hey, bestie. Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too. My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own. Always in the driver's seat, huh? Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot. Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop. Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Own Credit Union. For details, go to membersowncu.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Patriot Plumbing at 402-464-7411 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-464-7411.
Ready to hit the road in style? Liberty First Credit Union is revving up your ride with unbeatable auto loan specials. Cruise away with rates as low as 4.79% APR for 48 months on a 2020 or newer vehicle. Need a longer term? No worries. They've got you covered with 4.89 APR for 60 months and 4.99 APR for 72 months. Hurry, these rates are cruising fast, so don't get left in the dust. Visit libertyfirstcu.com. Credit factors apply. Rates, terms, and conditions subject to change.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
I can't believe I just scratched that card. Find my insurance card.
Dude, what do you have in this glove box? Ew, are these socks dirty?
Oh, forget about the socks. I need my insurance card.
Just pull it up on the State Farm mobile app.
But I can do that? Oh, hey, I can do that.
Yep, it's called service.
I can file a claim on here too?
Yeah, it's called service.
Whoa, I can call my agent too?
It's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Tavern 180, Vinny Krekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical.
Big thanks to all those sponsors and more that have us on the air here, recapping Nebraska's 56-7 loss to Indiana. We'll get your thoughts here in just a second, but Chancellor, before we get to the text line, here's what Jamari Butler had to say after the game. He said, sometimes things don't go our way and our heads get down. You talked about the snowball effect almost right away. Number one, that's disappointing to hear from an upperclassman about a veteran upperclassman-led defense, that when things don't go their way, they hang their heads and get down. But think about the snowball effect that you talked about, right? You give up a score on the opening possession. Ja'Cory Barney Jr. has a brain fart, get the ball at the 1 yard line, miscommunication on the second play, and then Indiana, would ultimately go up 14-0, whatever. Nebraska scores, Indiana scores to make it 21-7. But Nebraska gets the ball back and has the opportunity to run out the clock at the end of the first half with just under 4 minutes to go. Right. The opportunity to go down the field, put points on the board, and receive the ball in the second half. Despite being down 21-7, despite putting itself in a hole that's 2 possessions big, Nebraska had the opportunity to regain some momentum, if not complete control of the game. But they don't advance. Indiana scores one last time going into the half. Nebraska's first possession after halftime lasts just about 7 minutes, a little over 7 minutes, but they can't pay it off with points. So Nebraska had moments in this game to stop that snowball from rolling down the hill. The offense came up short, but especially the upperclassman-led veteran defense was still hanging its head when things didn't go right. That's problematic.
It is problematic. And, those comments by Jamari, I understand. I guess I understand where he's coming from, but I also understand, you could just see on the defense, guys didn't look confident. Guys weren't, juiced up. And I don't know if that's a away game. I don't know if that's because of the morning game, but it shouldn't matter. You should always have a standard. And definitely this week, the guys are going to get tested. The guys are going to get tested again throughout the week. And I know after the Michigan game last year, it was kind of the same scenario where, he said guys quit in the Michigan game. Yeah, whatever the case may be, he had the guys practice full pads on Sunday, right? So I'm wondering what the deal is going to be this week. But the leadership in the defensive room specifically, I don't know if it has to pick up, but I think they just have to play to their standard, and the standard that they preached, it wasn't there today, and there was no execution in any facet of the game plan today. You had one fourth down stop, but other than that, it was pretty ugly.
Let's just roll through some texts here. If you hear one you like and you want to respond to, stop me. Otherwise, we'll let this be a therapy session. Let people get their thoughts off their chest. Rick from Wahoo. Rule got outcoached by a first-year coach at Indiana that's going to be 7-0 in the top 15. Indiana has more talent than Nebraska does. Rule, not a very good head coach right now. His teams, on comparison, play sloppy football. Nothing has changed from year one. Next week going to be even more of a massacre. Their number one quarterback is out. Fourth quarter defense can't stop them. Special teams could have kept it close. Should Nebraska be looking at a different coordinator, either internally or externally? If Nebraska does not beat UCLA at home, I have serious concerns about Nebraska making a bowl game unless Nebraska shows drastic improvements. Danico says, Dylan has to be Patrick Mahomes and stop holding the ball too long. Put the defense at conflict by taking the open lanes. At least slide. That would open the offense up more. Defense, missed tackles, poor pass coverage, along with not being strong in the trenches.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I think to start this year off, now that I'm looking back, I think we as a fan base and I think Nebraska, the football team, got away with it because I got away with hanging their hat on how good Raiola was. And we just depended on him to get us out of situations that we put ourselves in, and it has caught up to us once we started facing good defenses and teams that don't make mistakes, like a Rutgers. Well, as when we played Rutgers, I know it changed a little bit now, but like this Indiana defense and like this Indiana team, now that the O-line isn't playing very well, and the receivers aren't getting open, Raiola can't be right. We're seeing Raiola be a shell of himself, and that's mainly because
is he shook?
I don't think it's him. I really don't. I really do not think it's him. I think it's the other pieces. You put him in Indiana's offense. I mean, he's a Heisman candidate. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's completely different. I think I know he's a great talent. I know he's great, but there's so many things he has to worry. Like, imagine it. Imagine it's 1st and 10 or 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 8. And all of a sudden you get the ball hiked and, you just want to go through your three progressions and you got a guy screaming down the middle, or you're unsure about this left guard. You see a pressure. You don't think this guy's going to pick it up. You get outside the pocket and then a guy doesn't do the scramble drill rules, right? That we've gone over since fall camp, right? So you're relying, if you're Raiola, I think it comes to a point where you're a young guy, you're the most talented guy on the field, but now you're trying to overcompensate for the O-line struggles or the receiver struggles by trying to do a little bit too much, right? And so I don't know if it's so much of a thing where he's being undisciplined with this and this. I think he's really trying to literally put this offense on his back, and he's doing some uncharacteristic things like throwing on the run, bad footwork, things like that. But he's trying to do it because he can't trust the O-line. He can't trust the receivers. He can't trust a running back to do this, right? He's having to every time to tell guys to get lined up. You're coming in motion. Why aren't you listening? Like this type of stuff. And that's a little rant, but I see the frustration in him because it's like if he was on any other offense, man, in the Big Ten, I'm saying just in the Big Ten, it would be a completely different story. It'd be a completely different story, and it's frustrating. I'm frustrated for him that he has to go through this because some of the things just should be handled with coaching. Guys not knowing when to motion and where to line up in the backfield, that's just simply coaching, right? And so it's frustrating, but I think Dylan, I still think Dylan's a great talent. I still think he's going to be, a top 10 pick one day. I really believe that. But as a freshman and right now, it seems as if he's trying to do too much, but why he's trying to do too much is guys are doing too little.
He's in an interesting position because obviously true freshman starting quarterback. I'm with you. You see him jogging off the field. Look at his body language. Look at the way he kind of, takes off the chin strap a couple times. There is definite frustration. And I think to his credit, it hasn't led to a blow up. It hasn't led to a scene on the sideline. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That being said, if he's going to be the quarterback of this team, and if he truly wants to be responsible for changing the culture, it does fall on Dylan Raiola, fair or unfair, to hold guys maybe more accountable than he's been, right? I don't want Dylan Raiola to be painted in the light of a diva, throwing a tantrum every time something goes wrong. I do not think that is that young man's mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I think what everyone expects from Dylan Raiola is he's calm, he's level-headed, he's going to take accountability for mistakes. At some point, blow up on someone. Maybe it's unfair to them. But as soon as Dylan Raiola has had enough, let's flip that switch. Because then maybe what it sends through the locker room is, oh crap, this guy's for real.
Yeah.
Oh crap, he has a point. What did we do that was so wrong that led to this uncharacteristic behavior, right? It just seems like I said, with Nebraska not having that edge, they need a jolt. And again, I don't want it to happen in public on the sideline where announcers can paint him as a diva. You don't want to split the locker room. You want to stick together because, again, Nebraska's 5-2. It's only the second time they've lost a game, but clearly something has to happen. Clearly there's some level of complacency where guys think what they're doing is enough.
Oh, wow.
And it's a big ask for a guy like Dylan Raiola as a freshman to come in and hold all these upperclassmen accountable, but you're the starting quarterback. Go do it.
Yeah, and for anyone out there thinking, he threw 3 picks. How could he, I'm telling you that guys should have already been up to his standard. Meaning Dylan is the standard of the offense. He's the standard, I wouldn't say so much of the team, but of this offense for sure. And guys need to raise to it. And Rules said it since day one. And if everyone is on the same, if everyone's on one accord, if everyone is on the same wavelength out there, we won't have, second play Isaiah Nair not running the route when it's an RPO. We won't have, missed assignments, up front. We won't have, missed blocks here. Like those type of things get ironed out when you're raised up to standard and like, man, 15 is up in it, in the building at 4:30 a.m. He knows the playbook in and out. He does this right. He does this right. And all of a sudden, I can't be the one to mess this up. And, I see some in the YouTube comments right now saying Dylan to transfer. That is it's interesting. As a player, I understand the frustration, but I know Dylan's a guy that's going to stick it out. I don't expect him to transfer. That's I would say a wild statement. But one thing that does need to change is the young guys especially need to rise to Dylan's standard. The older guys who are going to leave, I understand, you got some pride, whatever, that, you don't want to follow the young freshman or whatever. I don't really get it because he has pro habits. He has, elite NFL habits already. But you definitely need to get those younger guys in the locker room to really, really embrace what Dylan is going through day in and day out, and really follow his lead and continue. And for Dylan to continue to take steps too, because nobody's arrived, nobody's ever hit that it mark. But I'm still excited for Dylan Raiola moving forward.
Back to the text line we go, 402-464-5685. Keep your comments coming. We are here as long as you have thoughts. Joe B says, step away from the ledge, Husker fans. Nebraska is a very young team. I half agree and I half disagree. Step away from the ledge? Absolutely. But Chancellor, I don't think it's necessarily fair to call Nebraska a young team. Yes, your starting quarterback is a true freshman. Yes, Gunnar Gatula is getting the first snaps of his career, but your 3 starting receivers have played college football for multiple years. Your offensive line, again, aside from Gatula, has been together for a year. Your running backs have all been at Nebraska, outside of your Dowdell, who's the starter, right? But again, played a couple years of college football. Your running backs are old. And your defense doesn't, or at least at the beginning of the year, didn't have a freshman in the starting lineup and barely cracking the 2 deep. Nebraska might be green in some places. Nebraska might be inexperienced, but Nebraska's not young.
Maybe the staff is young. Together they're young.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that. Yeah, but this team, I mean, you got the defenses, guys that I played with in 21. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of familiar faces there. Offensive wise, a little younger, but O-line wise, I mean, that's the root of it. And those are all older guys. But I would say, like, the mesh between from head coach to to either DC, OC, either coordinator, then obviously coordinator throughout those position coaches. I think there needs to be more of a gel there. And I think once that happens, once there's more unity and harmony within those coaches and schemes and individual coaching and position coaching and stuff like that, I think we'll see it translate to the field a little bit more. But it just doesn't seem, especially offensively, it just doesn't seem like there's a real connection. It doesn't seem like these guys are like not close in like a personal way, but like in the way they're thinking and the way they see the game of football. It just doesn't seem like they see the game the same way.
While we're on the coaching staff, I'm not going to tell Matt Rule how to do his job.
Right.
I'm the wrong guy to do that. That being said, what I can do is take Matt Rule at his word. What he says he wants Nebraska to be and what Nebraska has shown he is right now. Chancellor, I think it's glossed over that Matt Rule didn't bring his longtime defensive coordinator with him to Nebraska. The obvious easy pick was Phil Snow, who's been with Matt Rule at Temple, at Baylor, I believe even in Carolina for a little bit. He didn't follow Matt Rule to Lincoln. Matt Rule had to go outside the house to get Tony White. And it worked out, right? I think despite today's performance, you can still say the defense has been the strength of Nebraska under Matt Rule.
For sure.
But what else does he do then on the offensive side of the ball, special team side of the ball, right? Ed Foley, been with Matt Rule basically his entire career. He gives a handout to the son of a friend to be the wide receivers coach. That group's having issues. Offensive coordinator goes with the guy he's known forever. You need continuity, right? But it has to be organic. This is, again, where I think there's a very fine line between being comfortable with who you have on staff and getting complacent. Maybe Matt Rule did the best he could with the staff he could at the time. I think getting John Butler to coach defensive backs in the manner that he did, that's a good grab. I think Rob Dvorak, for being a young guy, has done a decent job with the linebackers. They haven't been bad by any means. They've been okay. They've been fine. But on offense, I don't know, man. It just feels like maybe there's a little bit too much comfortability. Because especially what Matt Rule is saying he wants Nebraska to look like is not what Nebraska is looking like. Nebraska looks like it's calling the plays in front of it to win any given game, but I can't tell what the Nebraska offense is building toward, what it wants to be, because it doesn't match up with what Matt Rule says he wants.
Yeah, and I think that's like the congruency and the harmony, like I'm talking about. Like there seems like there's two different opinions on what should be, done in this offense. And obviously, what Rule says in the presser is all we hear, and that's all we know. So when we see something opposite of that, when he says, I run the ball 35 times with two different backs, and then the next game we see, 10 carries and 8 carries from the next guy, you're like, wait, that doesn't add up. But this receiver room, it poses some questions, man. You go with the young guy, McGuire, I believe his dad coached, where was it? Baylor?
He's at Texas Tech right now as the head coach.
Yeah. So, I mean, you go with him. And I'm not the type of guy to say it's because of him, right? I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is that definitely has some struggles in that room. Definitely seen immature play from them. And maybe that's just because, there's a new system, or it's because the coaching. But I think moving forward, you got to find out what the problem is. And in the building is, inside the building is the only way you find that out. We can speculate and say, it's the O-line, it's the receivers, it's this, and this, but it could be as simple as, the way you approach Tuesday practice, or, the lack of, you guys, we don't do team offensive meetings, and the O-line and the tight ends are on the same page, or the O-line and the running backs are on the same page. And we have two different philosophies, and, we're not getting coached the same way. We don't do our individual work doesn't match the game reps that we're going to get. Like, so those type of things mean a lot. And you gotta find a way in-house to fix it, because in-house is the only way you find answers. You don't go out to, O Street and start looking for answers, right? You go to Memorial Lane, Memorial Stadium, what's inside of there, and you say, okay, we got a good offense, but this isn't working. We got a good defense, this isn't working, and special teams, this isn't working.
Kent on the text line, how about the Matt Rule penalty? People went nuts when Bo Pelini did that. Did Matt Rule really think that would help? Help me understand the penalty. Second time Matt Rule's gotten called for an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Chancellor, I get it like in basketball, right? Your team's down, you want to prove a point. But Nebraska was down 4 or 5 possessions at this point, right? There wasn't really anything to complain about to the officials. I didn't think glaringly. Nebraska just played poorly. If Matt Rule was trying to send a message to his team, I don't understand that one.
Yeah, I think that's frustration. Obviously you expect for that game to go much different. I think that's frustration, and that doesn't rub off on the team well. I know I've been on teams where the coach does this or whatever, and then you're like, wait, don't we get punished every weekend for doing that type of stuff, right? So it doesn't reflect good on the team. And some of the if our head coach already has 2 of these, right? When guys go and MJ Sherman goes and hits a guy in the helmet, right? Or such and such goes and hits that, that could be a reflection of what they see in the head coach. And so you just want to make sure, like, you're not giving your guys, I know as a player, you're not giving your guys like any like question marks, any head tilts, like, man, why is you doing that? But that's definitely an area where you don't want to ruffle feathers within your team, and that can cause a lot of split. You want to, like Kurt Senegi, I know he was winning, but he was straight face. You couldn't tell if he was winning, losing. You couldn't tell whatever. I know emotions. Some people are just different personality wise. But we got, you got to be better than that. I'm being honest with you. You got to be better than that.
Mississippi Mud Dog says, I don't know if Nebraska has really taken a step offensively this year. Yes, they can throw the ball better and maybe more consistently, but they can't run the ball effectively. The best running play is with a wideout.
It is.
That sweep to Ja'Cory Barney Jr. is the most consistent run play. Just for reference today, the leading rusher for Nebraska was Heinrich Harburg. 32 yards on 5 carries with a long of 13.
32 yards.
32. Emmett Johnson, 8 carries, 24 yards. Dante Dowdell, 7 carries for 16 yards. Ja'Cory Barney Jr. led the team in average yards per carry. 1 carry, 7 yards. Ramir Johnson, 2 for 6. Gabe Irvin, 1 for 2. Quentin Ives, 2 for 1. Also, just a weird call to put Quentin Ives in that situation. Short yardage, a goal line-ish package. You put in a speed guy. That's another conversation for a different time. But this goes to what someone else was saying here on the text line. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, so 0491. Why is it completely obvious what Nebraska is doing with Barney every time he's in the game? Because you don't see the same window dressing. You saw Indiana move guys around pre-snap all the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't guys forgetting where they were going like it looks like with Nebraska. They did it for a reason, right? They would shift sides of the formation. They would move guys around. Even something as little as that changes a defensive approach.
Yeah. It's almost like we saw a completely different, like, there's a lot less motions, a lot less like movement as far as like pre-snap stuff with receivers. And then, you look at it and you're like, wait, I know exactly what's going to happen. We didn't see a lot of movement. It was, Indiana could have guessed exactly what was going to happen. And you're right. Every time Ja'Cory comes in motion, it's not like we have many things off of that, meaning we don't have, some type of play action, deep shot or a quick game, or, we have a fake reverse into a play action set. We don't have a lot of things off of that. And that goes to a lack of creativity. I think that falls on Satterfield and his philosophy, but maybe he's trying to mesh it with what Rule likes. And we don't know really what's going on in there. We can speculate, but like at the end of the day, what if Satterfield, really wants to do this, but Rule wants it this way, right? So like there might not be congruency, but like at the end of the day, you can't let the defense, you can't let the people at home know what's going to happen, because if they know what's going to happen, us sitting in 93.7 the ticket here on 0 and 11th Street, we know what's going to happen when Ja'Cory come in motion, and we know what's going to happen when they line up 2 tight ends and Dowdell come in the game, right? For sure that Indiana knows. For sure that Indiana knows. And so you got to switch that up and get the defense on their heels coming up.
That is the truth. We'll take one final break. We'll have a shorter segment coming back. Keep your thoughts coming here at 402-464-5685. Chancellor Brewington, Austin Norman, 93.7 The Ticket postgame continues after this.
Lincoln Federal Savings Bank. Personal banking like you remember.
Home. It's more than a place. It's a feeling. This is Eric Bertrand with Lincoln Federal Savings Bank. If you're looking for a place to call home, call me. Let's review your financing options and get you into the home of your dreams. Proudly serving Husker fans.
Personal banking like you remember.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Tanner's Bar and Grill is the best place in Lincoln for a casual get-together, best place to watch a game, and the best for pre- and post-game. Catch college and NFL football as well as the volleyball action this season at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. What's better than wings, cold beer, and a Husker win? Enjoy great food and drink specials every day and tons of TVs to catch all the action. Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Hey, Nebraska football fans, it's defensive lineman Ty Robinson, and I've got a winning play for you with Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. Team up with Action and install a new Bradford white water heater in your home. And if we win the conference championship this season, you'll get a full refund. Don't fumble this opportunity. Sack your old water heater this season and score big with Action. Visit actionlincoln.com/Huskers to learn more.
Promotion valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Mindle Footwear is your solution against sore feet, blisters, and poor footing. Don't just take our word for it. Take it from Sip, who said he's never had a pair of boots more comfortable. You won't find Mindle Footwear in any store, sold exclusively at MindleUSA.com right out of Sidney, Nebraska. They're so confident you will enjoy the comfort their boots offer. If they don't work out for you, they'll cover the shipping to return them. Use code THETICKET for free shipping because your feet deserve a treat too. Mindle boots, just try them on.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Once in a lifetime event. You miss it, it's gone forever. It's Schaefer's 78th anniversary extravaganza.
Maybe a little dramatic, but you get the point. It's Schaefer's 78th anniversary. And we're delivering the savings on LG appliances with huge $1,000 rebates. Save on your whole kitchen, including the new My Color fridge, and get free delivery on your qualified LG purchase. Hurry in for the savings during Schaefer's 78th anniversary event.
I can't believe I just scratched that car. Find my insurance card.
Dude, what do you have in this glove box? Ew, are these socks dirty?
Oh, forget about the socks. I need my insurance card.
Just pull it up on the State Farm mobile app.
But I can do that? Oh, hey, I can do that.
Yep, it's called service.
I can file a claim on here too?
Yeah, it's called service.
Whoa, I can call my agent too?
It's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, take over $11,000 off a 2024 Ford F-150. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1004296. MSRP of $66,645. Must finance with Ford Motor Company and have a qualifying trade and approved credit. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 11/13/24. See delivery details.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier Kawasaki dealership. Score big on Kawasaki's most dependable side-by-side, the Mule Pro, built to take on your most demanding days. Rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of October. On or off-road, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with large selection of motorcycles and side-by-sides in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Stop by every Saturday for their Husker tailgate with free food, drinks, and games.
Hey, bestie! Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too. My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own. Always in the driver's seat, huh? Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot. Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop. Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Own Credit Union. For details, go to membersowncu.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Tavern 180, Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical.
Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us here on Postgame. Nebraska falls to Indiana. Final score of 56-7. Austin Norman, Chancellor Brewington, back with you here for a few more minutes. We're going back to the text line. Jason says, guys, good show. Thank you, Jason. We'll end the text there. No, just kidding. No other major college football program gets less bang for its buck than Nebraska. Look at the neighbors, Kansas State, Iowa State, Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, go on and on. They all go to bowl games, pull upsets over the last many years. Nebraska doesn't beat ranked teams, doesn't go to bowl games, gets pushed around in high and low profile games. Adds a very sarcastic, good thing we're paying Matt Rule $9 million. Not impressed. Thanks.
Okay, let me ask you this, Austin.
Hit me.
Signetti, he comes to Nebraska this year or this past year, right? And you know, we go through the process of, you know, getting some transfers, you know, whatever. He brings his JMU staff, some of the guys he's been with, you know, since Division II, they come over here. What is it looking like for us? Are we an undefeated ball club and are we top 15 like Indiana?
I don't know.
Hypothetically.
Signetti's a winner. Google him. You know, I mean, again, 5-2, you don't want to say is horrible, but you probably feel a little bit better about the direction of the program, at least because you get that sense of confidence from the man in charge. And that's weird of me to say because I've liked a lot of what Matt Rule's had to say. I think he controls the messaging pretty well. But what the difference is that we see the messaging backed up and vindicated for Indiana. We haven't necessarily seen it for Nebraska. And again, it's a 5-2 record.
Right.
It's not the end of the world. The
Right.
sky's not falling. But Indiana's put together complete games in year one. Nebraska hasn't in year two.
We haven't. And it's kind of a thing where, you know, you look at the, you know, year two for Rule goes 6-6, I believe, or, you know, 7-5 or whatever it is. And then you get, you know, the 11-1 year or the 10-2 year, right? That everyone's hoping for. But the things just, it becomes a thing where the little things have to change. The special team stuff has to change. And if that stuff doesn't change, then we're gonna this narrative will continue to happen. And I'm not jumping ship. I'm not over exaggerating. But at the end of the day, there's these little things that have to change. And then they compound over time when they don't get fixed. You know, they roll over to, you know, an Illinois game where you need 3 points, right? And then all of a sudden they compound into, you know, this game that, you know, just a couple hours ago where we get beat, you know, 56-7.
Yeah. If changes are going to happen, I would like to think there's a sense of urgency to make these changes, because if you were pretty embarrassed by 56-7 to Indiana, oh boy, you go to Columbus a week from today. Oh, and by the way, if you have problems getting up for an 11 o'clock kick, guess what? Same time next week, 11 Central, 12 Eastern. But to me, it's that sense of urgency that Nebraska lacked today specifically, right? Where was the sense of urgency for Ja'Cory Barney? The first time Nebraska has a chance to touch the ball. You allow a 40-yard run. Okay, it happens. Guy makes a cutback. You save the tackle. You allow your first rushing touchdown. But it snowballs. But then you get to the end of that first half. You're not using your timeouts. You're down 3 possessions. The first drive takes 7 minutes off the clock without really an attempt to push the ball downfield, any attempt to run tempo or go quickly. Chancellor, I didn't see a single sense of urgency from Nebraska on the field today, which worries me that there's not going to be a sense of urgency off the field before they get to Columbus next week.
Yeah, there got to be some major attitude and energy changes to Ohio State game. Because if you take if it's the narrative that, and I said this before the show, and now I got to, retrain and hopefully they prove me wrong. But I said the defense comes out slow, right? Usually the first drive. Well, you can't usually come out slow against Ohio State. No. They're going to put 7 on you real quick, right? And then, you catch a ball at the 1 yard line. Well, they're going to capitalize and probably, turn that into a safety. Like, you're not getting up out of there and try to block a punt or something like that. And then they're going to come down and score quick again. So those type of things have to get cleaned up. And it's almost a thing where you keep running in circles on what is the issue. But at the end of the day, those guys have to figure it out, and you got to take the ownership. If you're an older guy like a Ty Robinson and a Gifford and Jamari Butler and Nash and Javen Wright and Bullock and all them boys, you got to take initiative and say, hey, that was unacceptable. I'm the first one to blame myself, of course, but we got to figure out and band together to put something together Ohio State where that we feel comfortable going into the game. Because if we're already defeated on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, then there's no point in even giving it your best on Saturday because you're going to lose.
And that's the truth. The narrative all week, at least nationally, right, is going to be plucky little underdog Nebraska coming off a big loss, talented machine in Ohio State. And I think that's true to an extent, right? Ohio State's a top 5 most talented team in the country, well coached, despite what you might think of Ryan Day. But I think multiple things can be true in that, yes, Nebraska will have less talent than Ohio State, but Nebraska will be more talented than years past, which is why, especially if you look at the skill positions, right, there's going to be a lot of talk there at Ohio State with a guy like Egbuka, not to mention a Jeremiah Smith, who's doing some pretty incredible things, right? In Nebraska's wideouts, Jamal Banks, Isaiah Nair specifically, they had a hard time separating against Indiana. They're going to have a hard time separating against Ohio State. If the offensive line had troubles blocking Indiana, probably going to be issues blocking against Ohio State, the number 2 defense in the country, maybe even number 1 defense in the country by all sorts of statistical measures. So it's just, you start to see the picture become clearer in that things might look better on the surface. You can tell yourself that they're better in terms of talent, maybe with coaching in some areas, maybe not. But the point remains is that Nebraska's still got a long way to go.
Yeah, they have a long ways to go, and this verified it. I didn't know. I didn't want to believe it, I should say. Going into this game, I saw some but the optimistic chance is I'm always going to be yeah, we got it. We can get it next. We can keep doing it. And now it's kind of a thing where we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. And that's okay. I know some people are man, this is the year. They want to be the year so bad, but at the end of the day, we're a couple pieces away, maybe a coach away, maybe O-line away from really getting this done in the fashion that would bring excitement to Lincoln and excitement to Nebraska, right?
That's just the thing.
Yeah.
Hey, volleyball won.
Hey, come on, this is still a volleyball state. Still a volleyball state. And football still, we still got some things to look forward to. So yeah.
Let's see here. Last few texts to get to here. 8729. Tired of the same old excuses. I've heard we aren't there yet for the last 10 years. Well, it's still true.
Yeah, whether you like it or not.
Right. Appreciate your text. Brad says, I would actually sit Dylan Raiola. If we lose him, we lose every chance we have. Let him play against UCLA, get bowl eligible there. That would be the cop-outist, weakest, softest decision Nebraska would make, and I would burn my closet if they decide to bench Dylan Raiola to save him.
Yeah, no, that would I don't know if I could come on and do a post game after that. That might get
I would quit my show.
That might not be FCC regulation. Yeah. So yeah.
Buckeyes are waiting, motivated after Oregon.
Oh yeah, they're
and off of bye week to stew.
Yeah, they're licking their chops right now. Looking at, oh my gosh, they're texting they're in group chats talking about how much receiving yards you're gonna go for, how many, we should go for 100, 100 a game, whatever. Like these guys are ready and they are pissed off that they lost this. So it's gonna be awesome moving forward to see what Nebraska can do during this week and throw their best punch. I mean, I forget what boxer it was that fought Mike Tyson. It was a big old dude. He came out swinging for like 30 seconds, swinging, had Tyson against the ropes, and then finally he burned out and Tyson knocked him out, right? But it's the mentality and the idea of like you got to come out swinging with everything you got.
Stay in the fight.
Stay in the fight.
Last thing here, Ken asks, would you revoke Dylan Raiola's power to audible at the line of scrimmage?
Well, it's not his power, technically. The coach is speaking to him down till 15 seconds. So, the things that we were giving Dylan credit for, it's really just the OC and what Satterfield sees in the box. So it would be revoking the coach's stuff. So no to that.
Some fans would tell you that's fine too.
Right.
Is what they would say. Well, we're going to call it a show here at Chancellor. I'd say it's been fun. We made the best of it.
Made the best of it. That's all you can do.
Ain't that the truth? Locker Room 1 to 2 on Monday. On the Block 2 to 4 on Monday. Come back with us then. Plenty of college football on the way tonight, especially on these airwaves. Georgia, Texas. Want to cleanse your palate? Listen to that game here on 93.7 The Ticket. Full Ticket Weekends comes your way on Sunday. That is tomorrow. For Chancellor, for Jay, for Nick, I'm Austin. It's been a post-game show. We'll talk to you next time.